I studied all summer for my fantasy football draft. I got the number one overall pick. Give me Jonathan Taylor. In the second round, Javonte Williams. The sky's the limit for this guy. Third round, I'm not going to miss out on a generational talent. So give me Kyle Pitts because this guy is a star in this offense. Take the next best guy on the list. This year's Cooper Kupp to the moon for Allen Robinson. In the fifth round, alpha now, number one on his team. Give me Darnell Mooney. In the sixth round, of course, I'm going to take Michael Thomas. In the seventh round, one of my favorite players from last year, Elijah Moore. This guy's going to be my flex every week. Eighth round, give me Cordell Patterson all day. I need a quarterback now, so give me Trey Lance as my quarterback one. This team's going to win me a championship. Let's go with Julio Jones, with Tom Brady at his quarterback. I love the guy. My handcuff here, Melvin Gordon. It'd be good. We're going to be good this season. This team can't lose. Honest, the last round of the draft. Kenny Galladay's going to help me win the whole goddamn thing. All right. I studied.
So that's about how I feel. Yeah, I had a plan going into this year to destroy all of you, and it did not work. So we're gonna try to keep this one real short and sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and start off by just going over what happened last week. So I'll bring this up. Let's close out TikTok. We'll go over the week 8 matchups that happened. So Matt beat me by quite a bit, as you can see. Not a whole lot to talk about other than some solid performances on his team. Ryan and Joe. So pretty down week from everybody on Joe's team other than Kamara. He had a huge game, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. You got a couple 30s and a couple high. Sorry about that. A couple 30s and a couple high 20s on Ryan's team. It's just really hard to overcome that. So obviously, that's this week. I gotta remember that I gotta keep going back. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. Just make sure that this is on the screen. Kim and Lance had a very close game, closer than I had thought. A couple weird things with this. We all knew Derrick Henry was going to be good, but Devontae Adams only scoring 1 point. Josh Jacobs only scoring 7. I didn't really, sorry, my phone is, of course, hasn't rang all day, but now it's ringing. Low scoring. Didn't expect that. Lance had the Jacoby Myers, Travis Etienne thing, bringing him, almost 50 points by themselves, and then, a couple of solid performances. He could have definitely won had he played any other quarterback. Look at Geno there on the bench. I know Kim could have played Tua over, whatever, or gotten a couple things, but 23 points versus 1 point, that's quite a bit of a margin there. So Lance, unfortunately, just like me this entire year, you played yourself. Moving on to Tiff and John. So John got the win here. Couple of lower performances on John's team than normal, but Antonio Gibson, the only person on his bench, which granted, a couple of them are hurt and stuff, but I think if Tiff would have started Rondale Moore instead of Cortland Sutton or Higbee, this would have been a lot closer. Still would have lost, but at least it would have been a little bit closer than that. She's got like Cortland Sutton killing her this year. Oh, I gotta keep going back. And then last but not least, Ben and Tim. Ben got the win. Crazy week from the Eagles with the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown stack combining for about, 60-something points. And then you add on their 42 from McCaffrey, and pretty much there was no... Tim had a good week. There's just no beating this. It's just unfortunate. I'm really honestly shocked that I didn't play Ben this week and have this happen to me. But Tim gets some unlucky situations there. So trade deadline happened. So the only thing that I can remember off the top of my head that has any real fantasy relevance for NFL football on trades wise was Nyheim Hines going to Buffalo, basically in a swap for some picks and oh my God, what's his name? Zach Moss. So Nyheim Hines is in Buffalo now. I'm pretty sure Nyheim Hines is on Kim's team, if I remember correctly. So maybe he'll start performing a little bit better. Chase Edmonds is in Denver now, so he gets to be part of that three-headed running back monster that nobody wants to play anybody on, including Melvin Gordon, Chase Edmonds, and Latavius Murray. So that kind of sucks for fantasy. Jeff Wilson Jr. gets signed by the Dolphins, or traded to the Dolphins. I don't really understand why they got rid of Chase Edmonds to get Jeff Wilson. Maybe it's a contract thing. I don't know the contracts. Kind of crazy. Sorry, I am dipping while doing a podcast because I just ate and I'm very full. Calvin Ridley, granted he's not going to be playing this year, but Calvin Ridley went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I found that very interesting. Calvin Ridley, I don't know if you guys remember, Calvin Ridley was a goddamn stud when he was playing. I know he had a bad year last year, but I think we can kind of chalk that up to, being out for a little bit, some personal issues he was going with, and he was playing with Matt Ryan, who's not even good enough to start over Sam Ehlinger for the Colts. So, Jacksonville's loading up on talent to give to Trevor Lawrence, and if Trevor Lawrence even remotely struggles next year, I just don't see how you don't bench him and move on or trade him or something, because if you can't succeed with that kind of talent in Jacksonville, I know it's Jacksonville, but he's got Travis Etienne, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram's not the greatest, but he's still, as you can see this year, he's fantasy relevant. He's pretty decent, so. I feel like I'm missing another trade that happened. Let me just look on my phone real quick. I know this isn't, I should be prepared for this, but I know there was the Bradley Chubb thing, but that's a defensive move, so nothing really crazy with that. I said Chase Edmonds. Oh, yeah. Duh. TJ Hawkinson going to the Vikings from the Lions. The Lions are trading into their own division to give TJ Hawkinson away for a second and a third. I don't get that whatsoever. I know you're going to have to pay the guy because he's going into the last year of his contract, and they always want a new deal and bitch about it, but at the same time, what are you going to get with your second round pick? Another tight end you're going to try to make the next TJ Hawkinson? You already had TJ Hawkinson. I don't know. Anyway, and then the other one, Bears get Chase Claypool from the Steelers. Not as bad as I had originally thought. I always think of Chase Claypool for some reason as a slant guy, but he's the exact opposite. He's a deep threat. Just chuck it down the field and Chase Claypool will be there. So the Bears have kind of been doing that all year when they do decide to throw, which is here in the past couple of weeks has been a lot, but before that it had been rarely. So I don't know, maybe decent, but what they gave up to get him I think was stupid. Chase Claypool is not that guy, but whatever. So to go over the power rankings that I came up with, we're just going to go quick hits on this. Sorry. Number 10, we've got yours truly. Yeah. Number 9, I've got Matt. So he did beat me last week, which isn't much of a hooray, thing. It's you should beat my team. Had a solid week, but 33 points from Tony Pollard on a kind of a fluke game where Zeke was out and Pollard was supposed to be good, but not 33 points good. And he's down here a little bit lower because this week he's dealing with the Bipocalypse. So his entire bench, other than Kenyon Drake, is on a bye, and he's having to resort to start some people that I guarantee he doesn't want to. But I mean, he's Barkley, Cooper, Judy, Pat Freiermuth all on a bye, Tony Pollard on a bye. Like, it's not looking good for this week, and he plays Kim, and as we have seen, Kim can destroy dreams whenever she feels like it, whenever her team performs. Mostly, I mean, when the Raiders and the Eagles decide to perform. So I've got Matt at number 9. At number 8, I've got Tiffany. She had a couple players kind of shit the bed last week, but it is what it is, and she recently made a trade where she got Dalvin Cook, so I think her team looks a little bit stronger now. She's got Cook and Aaron Jones as her running backs, Stephon Diggs, she's got Thielen, Rondale Moore. She's got a couple people on bye. She got Deontay Johnson, Zeke's on a bye. So she's got some good running backs now, and I know she's really hurting at receiver now that Sutton's not doing that great, but Thielen's not bad. And she's got Deontay Johnson, so maybe Deontay Johnson does a little bit better now that Claypool's gone. Who knows? And she actually plays my number 7 in the power rankings, which is Lance, and here's his team here. He's also got some good players on a bye, but at the same time, he's still got Mark Andrews if he plays. Etienne's a freaking stud. Pittman has been up and down. Brandon Cooks, who did not get traded, I'm a little bit worried about what he's going to be doing this week because he's being a diva. So Deebo Samuel's on a bye. Dalton Schultz, who he just got from me, is on a bye. Better days are ahead for both of you guys this week. Or not this week, next couple of weeks. Number 6, I've got Tim. So let's look at Tim. Sorry. So yeah, he just acquired Justin Jefferson for Dalvin Cook, which he desperately needed, some wide receivers on his team. So instead of Curtis Samuel and Juju and Christian Kirk, he's now got Jefferson, Samuel, and Juju and Kirk. So that's a lot better looking wide receiver room just with the addition of Jefferson. Still has Fournette and Ramondre Stevenson and Jamal Williams as his running backs. Not too bad. But lacking a little bit of firepower here. Deontay Foreman, who blew up last week, but now with Chuba Hubbard coming back, is Foreman going to be? He's not going to be that again, I don't think. But I think they're going to split a little bit more. So, and of course, last week he lost to the highest scorer in the league that nobody would have beat. So you can't knock it too awful much. Number 5, I've got Ben, who for this week has a little bit of a bye problem as well. So CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey on a bye. Doesn't have a defense for some reason. If you want to just leave that defense blank, I think you'll still win. So I think that's a challenge to you that I'm going to put out there. But Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown stack proved very effective last week, and I think he's going to do the same thing this week. Michael Thomas, Jonathan Taylor. Second running back a little bit lacking, but that's because McCaffrey's on the bye. So, yep, 182 points last week, highest in the league. Number 4, I've got Kim. So, no bye weeks this week, but a couple of the players underperformed mightily last week. Don't know what's going on with Devontae Adams, but Kim's team looks like it's going to put up a pretty good week. Solid, 15 points average projected, so, not a whole lot to say, just staying up there. Number 3, I've got Joe. Sorry. Scored 155 points last week and would have beat everybody except for Ben and Ryan, and he happened to have played Ryan. So just really one of those unlucky weeks where, very frustrating. For the later season, he looks like he's got a couple of these players here that are going to be pretty good. He's got Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, and Hollywood Brown all out right now, and Darren Waller, which, I mean, I haven't heard any news on Darren Waller, so maybe he's going to play, but Kyle Pitts finally scored last week, that big week from Kamara. Josh Palmer looks like he's going to be a good start this week. Gabe Davis and Josh Allen stack, you always like that. Metcalf apparently isn't as injured as we thought, so Joe's team's looking pretty strong. Number 2, we've got John. Double check that and make sure it's still on. John right here. So, actually, thought this was pretty funny. I ran the numbers last week. So, this Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb thing that he's got going is literally carrying this dude. Last week, those 3 players combined scored 79.8 points. The rest of his team, everyone else on his team, including his bench, scored 90.4 points. Literally an 11-point difference between 3 players versus the rest of his team. So that's insane. Like, 3 players. I don't know. He's going to have a little bit tougher sledding this week. He's playing the 8-0 Ryan, who looking pretty stacked this week. Both of them are, honestly. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. I mean, if, Kupp, Hill, and Mahomes decide to have a game, then, he could easily beat Ryan. I don't really want to predict who's going to win, but I'm going to in this future segment. We'll get to that, but, Chubb, Kittle on a bye. So he's got to start Renfrow and Knox and Raheem Mostert, which Raheem Mostert looks better now that Chase Edmonds is out of town. And then, of course, number 1, we've got Ryan, still undefeated. Amon-Ra, now that Hawkinson's not in town, looks like he's going to be a target monster. DeAndre Swift coming back, getting worked in a little bit slowly, so a little bit cause of concern there. But, I mean, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Waddle, I mean, DJ Moore's even woke up in the past couple weeks. And he's still got Najee Harris, Dak Prescott, Kareem Hunt, Brandon Ayuk down here on a bye. Like, I mean, his team is looking a lot more, it's not a word, but depthy than I had predicted at the beginning of the year. I didn't really think a couple of these people would pan out. So, yeah, I mean, the 2 Dolphins receivers I thought both of them at the beginning of the year were just going to shit the bed and they were going to eat into each other's targets and they weren't going to be anywhere worth the draft capital that they, you had to take them, so they weren't going to be worth it whatsoever. Some of them, one was going to have a good week and the other was going to be like at fucking 3 points. And I could not have been more wrong. These two guys have been insane this year, and it shows from the 8-0 first and the 7-1 second, and me being 0-8. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to predict who I think is going to win each one of these games, and a little bit of a reasoning on why. So obviously we'll start with me and Ben. I think Ben's going to win, hands down. I've got a couple of bright spots, but not enough. If Keenan Allen plays, that would be a hell of a lot better, but at the moment he's got problems with the ankle injury. I think Ben takes this one handily. Not much more to talk about. The hardest one of the week, the matchup of the week here, these two guys right here. Sorry, my mic kind of cut out a little bit there. I don't want to really predict who's going to win this one, but I will. I think Ryan's going to win this week, and the reasoning why is Hopkins, Moore, Amon-Ra, and Waddle. I think those guys are going to carry him. I think Eckler is going to have a middling week for Eckler, which means about 20 to 25 points. I'm expecting DeAndre Swift to be on a little bit of a carry count, so definitely not getting that 15 points unless for some odd reason he falls in the end zone a couple times, which is what saved him last week. And Aaron Rodgers might actually be decent this week. He's not been the greatest, but he is playing Detroit, and Detroit loves to get into shootouts that they lose by like 3 points. So, yeah, Cooper Kupp's a little banged up. I think if the Rams are smart, they're going to kind of not sit him, but like put him on a little bit of a snap target count where he doesn't get his normal Cooper Kupp workload. I don't believe in Renfro. I don't believe really in Dawson Knox. I have Antonio Gibson in my other league, and I'm skeptical on it. Raheem Mostert should be good. Tyreek is always good. Mahomes is always good. Lockett, I have him in my other league as well. Just got a update on him that he's questionable. So I don't know, but I'm picking Ryan. Kim and Matt, picking Kim. I mean, the buys are really kind of hurting him this week without Saquon, without Judy, without Cooper. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rough week for Matt. James Conner looks to be back, so Benjamin might not be anything at all. You never like to start Allen Robinson. Drake London's a really good player, but he's on Atlanta, so that's a crapshoot. Evans and Kyler should be good. Sanders should be decent. McLaurin should be decent, but I just don't think it stacks up against some of these big power players that she's got here. I mean, King Henry, Jacobs, Adams if he's healthy, T. Higgins, Lamar. So Joe and Tim. So I've got Joe winning this one because of the matchups he's got going here. Josh Palmer looks like he's going to have a big week especially if Keenan doesn't play. Josh Allen against the Jets, Gabe Davis against the Jets, Kenneth Walker against Arizona, Kamara versus Baltimore. He's just got a lot of really good matchups this week. Don't know what he's doing with the defense slot, but anyway. Tim's got, Jefferson, obviously, who's going to have a good game against Washington. Joe Burrow should have a good game against Carolina. But Leonard Fournette's kind of not been showing up as much as we would have hoped Leonard Fournette to show up. I do not believe whatsoever that Juju is going to get 14 points, and I don't think Tim does either. But, Christian Kirk's not really, I don't know. I don't know what I would do there, but I am picking Joe. Tiff and Lance. So this one's also kind of hard for me to pick because there's a lot of question marks on Lance's team. Mark Andrews may or may not play, and he plays on Monday. So, as of right now, Lance does not have a backup tight end, which I would assume that's what he's going to do with this spot here. But, so, if he doesn't play, Mixon could have another Mixon game where he can't get past that shitty offensive line that Cincinnati has, and maybe Cincinnati throws quite a bit. I don't know. It's against Carolina. That seems like a run game, but you never know. Etienne will be good. Pittman should be good against New England, but then again, rookie quarterback. He's not a rookie, but second game ever starting. Maybe he shits the bed and Pittman sucks. The drama going on with Brandon Cooks right now, I don't know. I'm kind of scared of that. I have him in my other league as well. Jakobi Meyers will definitely be good unless he gets shadowed by Stephon Gilmore. Singletary should be good. Hopefully Nyheim Hines doesn't eat into the passing work for Devin Singletary. And I think Geno will have a really good game. I actually think Geno is going to destroy this 20-point projection that he has. Tiff has the Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen stack. It did look better when it was Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, but at least she still has a Minnesota stack. Stephon Diggs is going to ball out of control. I think this is a good game for Aaron Jones as well, and same thing for Dalvin Cook. Rondale should have a decent game this week. So I'm going to say Lance wins because I do think Andrews plays. I think Mixon has a better game than normal. Etienne will be good. Even if Ellinger sucks, I think they're still going to try to hyper-target Pittman. So I think Lance wins, but I think it's slightly. Just because, Higbee might not show up. Damian Harris is not the greatest start for her. She doesn't really have any other options except unless she puts Hardman in there. But even then, I don't like the Hardman that much. She did pick up Cincinnati Steve, but still, I think Lance is going to win just slightly. I think that'll be a really close game. So, but that's all I got for this week, guys. Well, actually, hold on. I can go over some of the trades that have been made in the past couple of days. We've had a couple of big movers here, so most of them with me. So I traded Kyler and Jerry Jeudy away to Matt, and in return got Herbert, Allaire, Keenan Allen. So Kyler was my last remaining player that I drafted, and I traded him away. But I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, who I drafted and traded to Matt earlier in the season. Now he's back on my team, so still have a player that I drafted. Tim and Tiff made the Dalvin and Thielen for Justin Jefferson trade. Pretty even on both sides. Tim really needed a receiver. Tiff kind of needed a running back. So pretty good trade on both sides there. Tiff and Matt traded Deontay and Eno. I understand why Matt did it. He didn't have any players to play, so he was looking for somebody, and Deontay's on a bye. So this morning, I traded Dalton Schultz and James Robinson for Tyler Algier because I was looking for a start this week as well, and literally checked the news on it right before I submitted the offer. Cordero Patterson, no news. Still not supposed to come back for another couple of weeks. And we made that trade at 9 a.m. at about 11 or 12-ish. News breaks that Cordero Patterson is back to practicing. So, fuck my life. But that now is all I have. So, if anybody wants to hop on with me next week, feel free to let me know. We can start predicting who's going to win the matchups and stuff like that, and we can talk about your team so far. Just let me know, and a little bit ahead of time. I usually record these on Wednesdays. occasionally on Tuesdays, and I could even do it on a Thursday. So just let me know, and thanks for watching as always, guys.